One of the #1 questions I get asked all the time is how I get my matcha microfoam to look like this. Super smooth, bouncy, silky. And if your matcha is looking something like this and you're not exactly sure why, then let me walk you through my exact process and explain some things that might be making a difference. Happy Matcha Mondays with Michelle. If you're new here, I talk a lot about lifestyle, travel, content creation, and matcha. So if you also love matcha, you're in the right place. Welcome to my Matcha Monday series. So, microfoam. It's just a way of getting a really fine top layer of foam on your matcha. Is it necessary? Not really. Different tea schools in Japan do traditionally make foam on their matcha in different ways. Some teach methods of whisking that create more foam. Some like to create less foam. But nowadays, there's been a huge trend of people trying to achieve this super silky, smooth, bouncy looking microfoam. But it does create this smoother, creamier mouthfeel when you're drinking your matcha, specifically as like usucha. So for that, it does kind of make a difference. But if you're pouring your microfoam over milk to make a matcha latte, then it kind of doesn't matter as much because it's just getting mixed in with the milk anyway, and the texture of whatever milk you're using is probably gonna make more of a difference over the texture of the microfoam. But it is fun and satisfying to create a nice microfoam. It's very aesthetically pleasing. So let me show you how I do it. So the first thing that I always do is soak my chasen. We're gonna be whisking pretty vigorously, pretty quickly. So I always like to soak my chasen in warm water, at least for a couple minutes, because this is gonna help soften the bristles and prevent breakage. So I heated up water in my water kettle to 170 degrees Fahrenheit. This is also the same water temperature that I'm gonna use to whisk my matcha in. So I'm just going to pour this right into my cup with my chasen and fill it up just below the thread line. Some people don't soak their chasen, and traditionally you really don't need to soak it for this long. But I noticed that when I don't soak it, I get a lot more breakage. Like recently, I haven't been soaking my chasen before I use it, and I'm suddenly realizing a lot more of the tines are broken. So I personally recommend soaking your chasen at least for like a couple minutes. Whoa, it's like really steamy. But the chasen that you use does kind of make a difference as well, I think. I personally like to use chasens that are thinner. It might be a little hard to tell, but this chasen does have thicker, slightly thicker tines than this one that I'm using. And I do find that thinner tines kind of help to create that silkier microfoam a little bit easier, just because you can get a little bit more detailed in your whisking. And my chasen is from ZenQ Matcha. This is so far my favorite chasen that I've ever used, so I'll link it in the description box. But I have also created a really nice microfoam with just like a cheaper, more like mass-produced chasen from Amazon. So you really don't need a fancy, expensive chasen to make nice microfoam. So let's move on to the matcha now. Today I'm going to be using this one by Kyo Matcha. This is Chiba no Shiro, their classic grade matcha. This was gifted, and they recently gifted me a whole bunch of matchas. Every single one that I've tried so far from this brand has been amazing. They are available on Amazon, and their prices are very affordable. I'll leave the price on the screen. This one is their, I think, most affordable matcha, but I was so impressed when I first tried this. It's really high quality for the price. So I'm going to take 3 grams of matcha. And another important step is to sift your matcha, because you want the microfoam to be nice and smooth, not clumpy. So to make sure it's clump free, I always sift it. This one that I'm using is from Daiso. It was like $2. Then the next thing that really makes a difference in the microfoam is that you want your matcha to be kind of a thicker consistency. If it's too watery and thin, then you can still make a nice microfoam, but in my experience, it's just gonna take longer and a bit more effort. And on the other hand, if it's too thick, you're just gonna end up with a paste. So what I always do is do a 1:10 ratio of matcha powder to water. So whatever grams I used for matcha, then I'll multiply that by 10 and add that many milliliters of water. So in this case, 3 times 10 is 30 milliliters. So that's how much I'm gonna be adding. And again, my water is at 170 degrees Fahrenheit. That's just the temperature that I like to use, but you can use a range between 160 to 180. And now we're gonna whisk. And this is where it all goes down. So I first always like to kind of tap the matcha powder. That way there's no loose, dry powder that could fly in your face. I've had that happen before. And then we're just gonna whisk vigorously, but still kind of gently in a back and forth zigzag motion. So it looks something like this. It's kind of like you're making a W formation back and forth, but I do a few more strokes than just a W. And I do that for about 30 seconds until I'm seeing big bubbles forming. So I'm gonna try time this as well, starting now. And I'm not gonna cut this, so you guys can see in real time what I'm doing. So you can see there's a lot of bubbles forming at the top right now. And that was 30 seconds. So there's a lot of bubbles, some small, some big. And I'm not like putting a lot of pressure or digging my chasen into the bottom of the bowl. I'm just focusing on using my wrist, moving it back and forth quickly, but not aggressively. And I'm holding my chasen kind of gently. I'm not gripping it with all my strength. It's a slightly looser grip. Let your wrist do the work and just go back and forth. So at this point, now I just focus on whisking the surface of the matcha. Before this, my whisk was touching the bottom of the bowl, so I was whisking everything, but now I'm just lifting it up a little bit higher so that it's only touching mainly the surface. I'm also gonna slow my pace down just a little bit, but continue in that zigzag motion. And already you can see that it's becoming much smoother, and like all of the big bubbles have disappeared. And that's another 30 seconds. And we have our microfoam. But again, it's not like a complete science, so you kind of just need to find what works for you. Everyone's tools and techniques are a little bit different, so you gotta just try it out for yourself. But this is what works for me to get a super silky microfoam. And I do this every time I make matcha. I just think it's so satisfying. Now you can drink this as is, which is like koicha, or if you want to make this into usucha, you can add a bit more water. I would add about 40 more milliliters. And you should notice that it has a much smoother, creamier type of mouthfeel. Or this is also how I make my matcha for when I make matcha lattes. So I would just pour this straight over a glass of milk. So there are also some things that I think make a difference in the quality of your microfoam. The first one is the quality of your matcha powder. So I'm going to try making microfoam again, but with another matcha powder that I would consider to be a little bit lower in quality. I'm not exactly sure where this matcha powder is from. It was a gift. But when I say lower quality, I don't mean that in like a bad way. It's just that maybe it was harvested in a later harvest. So maybe it's not first harvest. Maybe it wasn't shade grown. I don't know the exact reason. But one indicator of quality is not always the case, but usually the color. So even just by looking at the color of these two matcha powders, you can immediately tell the difference. The Kyo matcha powder is much greener, much more vibrant. This one is a bit duller. It's more of a yellow-green color. Okay, so I did a little swatch test. On the left, we have the Kyo matcha. On the right, we have this organic matcha. And the first thing you can see is the difference in color, like I mentioned. It's very obvious here. And the other thing is that it's not like a huge difference, but the Kyo one is a bit smoother. Like there's not as much separation between the powder as like the organic one. Actually, the Kyo one is also organic, but I don't know what else to call this matcha because there's really no like brand name on it. But yeah, you can see the difference here. Something like the Kyo matcha is gonna be more what you would want to go for. But let me try using this matcha and seeing how it compares. Before I start though, another thing that I would keep in mind is the size of your whisk compared to your bowl. Because you want to make sure that you have enough room in your bowl to get a good whisk in. Chasens come in different sizes, and this one, I'm not even sure where this one is from. I believe this was also a gift, but you can see this one is definitely larger in diameter than this one. It's like pretty large, especially compared to my bowl size. So I actually don't have that much space to whisk properly. That's why I like getting whisks that are a bit on the smaller side because they'll fit more bowls. So if I do want to use a whisk like this, I need to use a much bigger bowl. As you can see, this one is much bigger than this one. This one is the Nami matcha bowl. This is a big boy. So I have much more room to whisk now compared to my other bowl. So yeah, it's just something to keep in mind. There are lots of different bowl sizes, lots of different whisk sizes. So try to find the combo that gives you enough room to actually whisk properly. Okay, so just to get a more fair comparison, I'm gonna do the exact same thing, use the same tools, but with this matcha now and see what the result looks like. I'm gonna take 3 grams of matcha again, sift, and then I'm adding 30 milliliters of water. And whisk 30 seconds fast, and then another 30 seconds slower and more on the surface. Okay. Okay, you know, I was actually expecting a worse result, but this one looks really good too. Even though I don't love the taste of this one, the color is not as green and vibrant, but it still creates a really nice microfoam. I do want to try this one more time with another matcha powder that I have and just see if there is a difference in that. So now I'm gonna try it with this matcha powder, and this one is, I think, from Don Quixote. This is from one of the Japan locations. But this one is also not great quality. The color is even duller and even more yellow than the organic one. So I added this one in the middle, and you can really see the difference. It's like almost brown. It's very streaky. It almost looks more like hojicha. But again, I just want to see if the quality of the matcha does affect your microfoam. Okay, it's been a minute and it's not terrible, but it's also clearly not the best. The bubbles aren't as fine as the other matcha powders, and it doesn't look quite as silky and bouncy, but I'm gonna try it for a little bit longer and see what that looks like. I'm mostly just focusing on the surface still. Now it's kind of just disappearing. Okay, it's been another 30 seconds and the foam is just kind of gone, honestly. Yeah, I'm kind of just making the foam disappear completely the more that I whisk it. Okay, so I do think quality makes a bit of a difference. So the last thing I do want to test is to see if the whisk makes a difference now. So I already know my bigger whisk is too big for my glass bowl, so I'm going to use my bigger bowl. Pretty big bubbles, as expected. Now let's do the last 30. Okay, so I actually did this for a minute and a half and it's not too bad again, but also just not quite as smooth as I would like or as smooth as I would get it with my other chasen. So final thoughts. I do think the matcha quality makes somewhat of a difference, and I think a chasen with thinner tines makes it a little easier to get a smooth microfoam because you can be more detailed and refine the surface bubbles more carefully. But you also don't need to spend a lot of money on like the most expensive matcha or chasen. I think it mainly does just come down to your technique. I would say to just keep practicing. Just make sure to really incorporate and aerate your matcha in the beginning for those first 30 seconds. That way the matcha gets nice and incorporated into the water so you don't have any clumps, and then focus on breaking up those bigger bubbles at the surface for the next 30 seconds. You might need to add a bit more time, but I think it is really about the aeration and then the smoothing of the surface bubbles after. So I hope that helped. Also, don't worry, this matcha is not going to waste. I'm going to be drinking this, I'm going to save some, and I'm going to share some with Kyle. But thank you as always for watching. Let me know what other Matcha Monday videos you want to see from me, and I'll see you next week. Bye!